Zoology, Prison Planet, Alex Jones.
And then I knew what the next line would be. They're growing human tissue in cows and pigs, just like they call babies tissue or embryonic stem cells when they're 7 months old being butchered live on a table and dissected. They take them out live and then hook them up to apparatus to keep them alive and then harvest them. Told you that 20 years ago. Similar, it's always the same playbook. Oh, did you know some firms are starting to implant tissue inside cows, inside pigs? Ladies and gentlemen, they're not implanting tissue. They're growing humanoids up to 50 and 60 pounds inside cows and inside pigs. And I'm going to say something else right now. That's what we know was going on 30 years ago, because when I learned about it 20 years ago, it was in research papers declassified 10 years before that. So I was 12 years old.
As I look at the animals, I just think, how sad. They are prisoners here. They're not happy. Just look into their eyes deeply. They feel like mannequins, open, exposed to public scrutiny, spectacle, amusement. Just a bunch of humans staring at them while dreaming of an escape. Prisoners watching prisoners on Prison Planet. As a kid, I was told that we were saving them. Zoos exist to preserve wildlife. Now that I have awakened, I realize it's just life. We're not preserving anything. We're in their way. I know that we are part of the reason, if not the cause, of their suffering and misery. By plucking them out of their environment, cutting down their natural resources and habitats so we can play gods by manipulating matter to suit a few interests who have the power in this world of illusions, we have become the collective conspiracists to the animal kingdom. Instead of minding and managing the animal kingdom as was designed with Adam, we are now manipulating and generating their misery for our pleasure. And that's not even true. I'm not happy watching them. When will you get activated? And how can you not be sad for the cheetah, the Andean condor, the bald eagle, whilst the birds above fly above their cages, taunting them every day, every night, that they are trapped while the world out there is still free. You tell the baby ape that grew up in the zoo, "Oh, what? This is your home. This has always been your home." While the captive mother and father ape will one day die off before your lie becomes exposed. And the many of us who are asleep on monosodium glutamate or mild forms of opiates, glucose, and all kinds of chemicals we ingest, we tell our future generations the same lie. This is where you came from. It's always been this way. When the crazy becomes normalized, then what becomes normal will sound crazy. Like the idea of heaven. We're so used to the abuse, we've collectively become addicted to the pain so much that the idea of a world without suffering seems like suffering itself. But just remember the truth. That is our duty here. Even if it is painful, remember,
This group of researchers wanted to create human pig chimeras by injecting human stem cells into pig embryos, but that's a lot harder than creating a rat-mouse chimera. For one thing, humans and pigs have much less DNA in common than rats and mice. For another, pig fetuses only take about 16 weeks to develop, while human fetuses take 40 weeks. So human stem cells and pig stem cells develop at different rates. All this makes it harder for human cells to survive and become a healthy, integrated part of a pig embryo. For this study, the researchers injected human stem cells into pig embryos, then implanted those embryos into female pigs. They let the fetuses develop for just 3 to 4 weeks, then euthanized them so they could analyze their cells in the lab. They found that the chimeras had developed with some human cells, but not very many of them, and even fewer of them grew to a typical healthy size. The fetuses were mostly pig, with some human cells sprinkled in among the developing muscles and organs. But still, they did it. The researchers made the first human-pig chimeras, and they're hoping that the process can be improved to the point where pigs can be grown with specific human tissues or entire organs. There are lots of extra challenges involved in this kind of research, though, and it's controversial. For instance, nobody wants people growing pigs with, like, human brains. And we are a long way away from being able to do anything like that, but scientists researching chimeras are still being really careful about the kinds of experiments they try. And it's possible that someday this research will lead us to being able to grow functional, vital organs that people need.
But here's MIT Technology Review. This is propaganda. I have seen similar articles from MIT and from BBC and from other prestigious publications for 20 years since I became a news hound and began reading up to 10 newspapers a day. A radical new approach to generate human organs is to grow inside pigs or sheep, and then it goes through all of it. But don't worry, it's tissue. No, it's not. They've been unsuccessful just growing them in there, and basically they're humans without heads, because that even freaks the researchers out too much, so they can kind of grow them like they want. And you can argue, well, it's just a person, I want those organs. But they've had to make the humans, the humanoids, part cow, part sheep, or part pig to implant them.
It's already happening. Humans not accepting responsibility for our own deaths, our own time's up. So we look for ways to extend our time here at the expense of the horrors of another animal suffering. Do you think these human-pig chimeras aren't creatures too? With feelings, consciousness, their own right to exist? Because so much is at stake, and the weight of the impact by moving the needle to our life's higher purpose is met by the same counterbalance, what Seth Godin calls the demon, and what Stephen Pressfield calls the resistance, and what I like to call the devil's influences, spells, hexes, and principalities designed to distract, distort, and discourage our soul to carry out its true mission here.
Settled in with flesh and bone.
We are but pieces to a beautiful puzzle. We are but shards to God's shattered heart. And we are but God's vessels on a mission. Now we are told there is no truth. It's all relative. You create it. Another lie among lies, like hydras. Why are we here? To serve as a drop in the ocean is who we all are. And there is hope. With millions of drops, billions, we can hack the matrix of this beast system.